Hello guys, welcome to Talking New, Chasing a Murder. Please subscribe and like right now. Do it now guys so you don't forget. Also guys, hit that notification bell. It's up there in that corner. If you would like notifications whenever I have a new upload or a new story, new video. So, that's an option. Right now I'm doing part 2 of FAYE Swetlik, the 6-year-old coming out of Casey, South Carolina. So FAYE Marie Swetlik was described by relatives and friends as being bubbly and a happy girl who always wanted to play and have fun. Her mother had taught her very well that she wasn't to talk to strangers or to run off anywhere. FAYE was in 1st grade and attended Springdale Elementary School. And her mother is Selena Collins. They lived on Londonderry Lane. Now, I want to tell you that the timestamps aren't that great right now. So, Selena Collins, which is FAYE's mother, walked down to the school bus stop that afternoon, waiting on her daughter to get off the bus. According to a few articles, she actually greeted her daughter at the bus stop around 2:50 p.m. From there, they walked back to their apartment or home on Londonderry Lane. Once they arrived home, we are told that FAYE ate a snack after getting home, and at some point decided to go outside and play in the yard. And according to this information that I have in front of me at this time, they're saying that her mother realized that FAYE was no longer around the house about 3:45 p.m. that afternoon. So it's at that point that she starts to panic. She can't find her daughter anywhere. She's looked all over the area, the neighborhood, talked to the neighbors, but nobody had seen FAYE. They looked for FAYE before they called the police. And approximately, she's guessing, there's different times, so it was around 5 p.m. that they called the police, but she's saying it was around 15 minutes after FAYE went missing. And that's when they called 911. If you haven't heard that 911 call, you can check out the FAYE Swetlik video, which has 1 on it. And they actually released that 911 call Saturday, February 15th of 2020. It was a very, very emotional call that this mother made on February 10th, after her daughter went missing. For many of us, listening to that, that call she put in was unnerving. It was very hard to listen to because you're listening to it after the fact when the outcome, realizing, what the truth is going to be for her. So the call was put in around 5 p.m. and according to what we know right now, investigators arrived to her address. They're saying about 3 minutes later, but we know that she was on the phone at least 5 minutes. The police canvassed the area. They used scent dogs. They talked to neighbors, sometimes twice, 3 times. They locked the neighborhood down. People were not able to really leave or come in. People were late for work. And police they had a goal set. They wanted to find this child. They actually ended up searching through the trash and everything at the start. Investigators, of course, questioned the family. Always on cases like this, you're going to be a person of interest if your family or friend, because most of the time things that happen like this happens through people you know. So they spoke with the family. This included her mother, her mother's boyfriend, her father, and police said that they were all cooperative. So it's pretty, I'm sure they felt the sincerity and that most likely they had nothing to do with FAYE's disappearance. So at this point, we find out that it is clear that FAYE did live with her mother, although we didn't have any idea whether her boyfriend lived in the apartment or not at that time. There was no Amber Alert issued, was kind of concerning. That raised a flag. And officials said the reason why an Amber Alert was not issued, they're saying that this case didn't fit the requirements. So Amber Alerts are issued when there is evidence to suggest that a child had been kidnapped. And there has to be enough descriptive information about the victim and the abduction in order to issue an Amber Alert. But, I mean, that seemed like enough for us, right, guys? Anyways, there was no Amber Alert for those of you who were wondering why. Police didn't realize at the time that they had actually interviewed one guy. Well, they probably did, but we didn't know. They interviewed a guy by the name Cody Taylor. He's 30 years old. And the reason why they were interviewing him is they have recovered a few videos turned into them from neighbors where they said they kind of viewed through, I'm telling you, it's like 50 different homes, went through that footage, and they found him to be kind of suspicious. So they kind of had their eyes set on a few people, but they really didn't share that information with us. Now, it was garbage day, so sanitation was coming around, picking up garbage, and police, well, what day was this? I can't remember. Okay, so it was February 13th, Thursday. You know, they got their eye on a few places, especially 603 Piccadilly, according to what we're learning right now. And they said it is garbage pickup day, and police believe that they should check this, the garbage as it's being dumped, just in case. They believe that, this is an opportunity to find any type of evidence is, at this moment. Police did that, and they stumble upon a few items that were very important and connected to the missing 6-year-old. The waste coming from 603 Piccadilly, they find a polka dotted child's rain boot, as well as a ladle. The soup ladle had fresh dirt on it. Closer examination of the ladle, they discovered that there's fresh dirt on this soup spoon, which means most likely this ladle was used for digging. At this point, Snellgrove said, now the police realize this new evidence that was found discarded in that trash was basically a eureka moment. He decided to go check a few areas they had already checked earlier. So Snellgrove immediately walked to a nearby woods, which, like I mentioned, they had already searched this previously. And then they found Faye's body. So we didn't really hear, but there was a roommate that lived with Taylor, but he wasn't there at the time. Officials said that they spoke with Taylor's roommate later, saying that he had been away at the time Faye went missing, and he seemed to have no knowledge of what happened. At that point, investigators really wouldn't tell us much other than they found Faye. And the next day, we hear that they actually find Cody Taylor lying in his apartment, deceased. We don't get any information what happens. It's not until Tuesday, so the 18th of February 2020, they tell us that they're going to give us a press conference, and there they will let us know how, these two passed. And one of the first to take the mic was Coroner Margaret Fisher. And you could tell it was very difficult for her to, to share this information. You could tell that the whole community was really not dealing with this very much. And she said to us, quote, "My heart is like so many others, breaks for you. No parent should ever have to know such pain," end quote. They informed us that when Faye was found, they believed that her body was moved there recently, that she wasn't there long. And after a long speech of thank yous, they let us know that FAYE had passed away of asphyxiation. There we go. But there was more to it, and they said, they weren't going to tell us what kind of shape she was in or anything else out of the respect for the family. They also refused at that press conference to tell us how Taylor, what happened to him. Did he take his life? We don't know. So after that press conference, they tell the media, what happened. And they tell us that they found him on the back porch. And we've heard different stories on this, so I don't know for certain which is what. But one of those stories is they found him on the back porch in a pool of his own residue. If you're new to my channel, I'm very careful with the words that I use, guys. And there was a wound to his neck, so an incise. So I'm suspecting he had a long, shallow cut. Some versions of this says otherwise, but they use incise, so I'm using it as it should be defined. Of course, like I said, on law and stuff, I'm not an expert. I am learning, I'm studying, taking a few lessons, but this is one that I'm not familiar with. I apologize. I have my notes a little bit of a mess, so I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that some articles say that it's around 2 p.m. that day that officials made an announcement along with the news that an adult man identified as Taylor had also been found. We also learned that police say during the 3-day search for the missing 6-year-old, investigators had been inside Taylor's home multiple times and had spoken to him about this case. And again, I want to make sure I did cover this as well, that FAYE was found in the wooded area approximately at 10 a.m. on February 13th between her home and a nearby Napa auto store parts. So once we realized that Cody Taylor was the sole responsible individual for the disappearance of FAYE, people wanted to know his background. And so a search for court records were done for Lexington County, and they found only traffic violations from February of 2018. And that violation was actually, he was cited for failing to dim his lights and paid a fine. So the neighboring counties, Richland County, they actually brought up a few, I think it's 4 traffic violations that occurred in 2013 and 2015. And also, according to court records, they indicate that the case involved a disagreement about payment and that the judge ruled in Taylor's favor. So Taylor was being sued by a company called City Garage and Body Shop. So it ended up, he didn't have to pay anything. It was $0, the judgment amount was. So one thing I do know is Cody was last on Facebook that we know of 2015, so he's not real big on that, at least under the alias we know him. At that time, he worked at Jimmy John's. That's in Columbia, South Carolina area, which is located about 5 miles away from his apartment in Casey. So according to this article, a manager stated that Taylor had worked at a different location that had been closed down for at least 2 years, and then directed the reporter to contact the corporate office for more information. So this reporter said that the spokesperson for Jimmy John's corporate office confirmed that Taylor had previously been an employee, but that he had parted ways with Jimmy John's in 2015. Then she let him know that she could not disclose any more information about Taylor. So on his Facebook, he was last updated in 2015, it states that Taylor had been a manager at Jimmy John's restaurant since July of 2011. It also says that he attended the University of South Carolina at Columbia and studied math. but there's no record of him ever graduating. And WLTX-TV actually posted that Taylor actually dropped out in 2009. So a few other reporters did some research and found out that, Taylor was actually good in school. The information that they got was that he attended Beaufort County School District, and confirms that he attended Bluffington High School from 2003 to 2007, and that he graduated in 2007. So yeah, he did graduate high school, so he went to college for a period of time. He had good academics and no disciplinary record. I'm having trouble talking. And so the picture with the tie, that's his yearbook photo. Okay, so this article states that Taylor was a South Carolina native. And according to WSAV-TV, they confirmed that Taylor graduated also from Bluffton High School in 2007. They actually dug a little bit deeper and found out that he was involved with Model United Nations and was a member of the school's robotics team. And wow, the state reported that this team came in second place at the state competition in 2007 with a machine named Fear No Evil of the Computer Love. Now, if it is what it sounds like, guys, there is a lot of computer love interest, if it's what I think it is. So that kind of makes you wonder a little bit about him there because of his interest. There is a lot of people that they rather not associate with real people. Instead, they associate with AIs and, this false virtual worlds and role playing, and they prefer the things that aren't real. And this includes females that are robots. So they actually have an AI brain. They have the structure of a female human. They often are dressed in lingerie. And let me tell you don't hear much about it, but there are big orders for these type of things. How many have seen that movie, Her? If you haven't, go check it out. It'll basically give you an idea of what they're talking about when they speak about computer love. Now, I'm not certain what his project was, but that's what it makes me think of. I'm going to try to see if I can find more on it. To be honest, that is actually a different subject for another time, but, it gives you an idea of what his interests are. So continuing with a little bit more background on him, what we're hearing is search online records list him as a Wingstop employer. So really, it just seems like there's just not a lot of information on this guy. He just lived in the shadows. So he's antisocial. He lives in the dark shadows. Nobody really knows of him very much that we know of right now. He doesn't have a lot of friends that we know of. And there's really no internet paper trail. So not much at all, which is strange. Especially for these times. But yes, unfortunately, a 6-year-old girl playing in her front yard was a target for this guy. So he pays attention to his surroundings, but no one pays attention to him. Now, I did want to document this story a little bit. I haven't been able to investigate this story like I would like. And I haven't been able to do that like I usually do. But I plan on doing that right after this week. To be honest with you guys, I've had a sinus infection for over a month. And I can't seem to get rid of it. It was right, we had Christmas. Then I had that. And then I have my birthday. And then I have some company coming in tomorrow, actually. But I did want to cover FAYE's story. I wanted people to know, who she was. She was just this great, beautiful little girl that is a victim of a sick man. And he took the chicken way out of this. Definitely, didn't he? A coward. Now, we've heard rumors about the roommate, and I am not part of that because the police say that that roommate is completely clear. And before I end this video, I want to make sure that I send out my love to the entire community and Casey. They did an amazing job looking out for each other. And I especially want to send love out to the family of FAYE Swetlik. There's nothing we can say or do to take away their pain, but we can tell them that, you know, we are thinking of them and that we are very sorry. I did want to mention the fact that I think I forgot to mention this, that police said that, you know, she was most likely, you know, not here any longer a few hours after her abduction. So really, the police did an amazing job. They did an excellent job, probably one of the best jobs I've ever seen done. So good job, guys. Wishing you the best, and I'll see you guys soon.